Hey everybody, Payne Rain here, back with another status report. Now this is for the end of August, but I've waited to do it now until it is, let me find the date. It's September 3rd. So I've waited because as you can see I'm wearing my Nova Open Supernova shirt because I am just back from Nova. It is Monday, Labor Day here in the States, and I got back. Ooh, what time? It's like almost. It was 11:30, I think, last night. About. Yeah, it was about an 8 and something hour drive all the way. Now, normally it's only it's like a 5.5 hour drive if I was to leave straight from my house, but I had to drive about 2.5 hours inland because I'm on the coast here in the States. I had to drive kind of into the state. Picked up a buddy of mine from an area I used to live in, and then we. Then went up and made our way to Nova. So I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll kind of go over, in general, kind of the differences between from what I know of Adepticon, because I've been to Adepticon and Nova, and the venues are very different. And of course, one day hopefully I'll make it out to the LVO and check that one out. I mean, right off the bat, it is expensive, especially if you're going to go for the whole time. I mean, it just starts, definitely the price starts to rack up quite a bit, just hotel room alone. Yeah, and then food there is, again, expensive. Now there's two options inside the hotel, and then they have food trucks that show up. And the food truck options outside are usually cheaper, but all said and done, you're still almost looking definitely over $10, if not close to about, I would say you're going to average $15 a meal. Now, probably a mile and a half walk down the road. You just get on a sidewalk and you walk. On one side of the hotel, so the hotel is kind of on a corner kind of thing, so it's like a triangle shaped thing going on here. So like the front end of the hotel is like at an angle, and then you have your like two corners this way. So like the back, like this back end here is up against other hotels or buildings, and then this one is a street that goes up, and then the front end sits at the angle here. And then it has view of these two streets on that side. So anyway, if you're looking at the hotel and you walk up on this side in the road, go up about a mile and a half or so, and there's a ton of restaurants. Now, the only issue with this is there's a few kind of like eatery things are nice, but again, you're going to be about those ones. I could definitely say it's going to be about $10 unless you're getting something whatever. And there's a Chick-fil-A, which we all know is fast food, so definitely cheaper, but it was the only actual kind of like fast food there. There was like a pizza place called We the Pizza. I didn't check out their pricing there, but then there's like a string of really high-end restaurants. Well, I say high-end, I'll say higher end. You'll recognize like Ted's Montana Grill, McCormick and Schmidt's. There was a Buffalo Wild Wings. So there's different options that way. And then if you leave the hotel, and so you have the other side, which is kind of angled, you come out the front, and then they had the food trucks kind of parked on the side of the road there. And if you walk up that road, you're gonna have to walk again like another mile and a half or so. And the only thing on that side of the road is a Subway. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's Subway, not like the transit system Subway, but the restaurant. So the restaurant inside the hotel, we never ate dinner there. We did have breakfast. And again, you get a 20% discount there, which isn't anything crazy. it's nice to have something. So they had a $20 a person all you can eat buffet. They had made to order eggs, and pretty much like bottomless, juice and something else, and a coffee. So you could get juice and coffee as much as you wanted, and anything up there, and then like I said, made to order eggs, which it you know, I guess for what that is, it's not bad, I guess, in the DC area, because like after the discount it came out to like $17, but I mean that's still a pretty penny if you're there every day, and so I guess some suggestions there is, if you know, there's a small fridge in the hotel room. I'm not sure. I just had a standard. It was a double queen room. So there might be other rooms that maybe they come with a slightly bigger mini fridge. Bigger mini fridge. But I'm not too sure on that portion. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could get a cooler with ice, and get other kind of like sandwich options, or just trying to find ways, like maybe lunchtime you have like lunch meats and bread, and find other ways to kind of cut down. So there was that. Then the next thing I'll talk about is the Supernova package, which is what I got. The Dwarf Nova, which is what my buddy got because he just missed out on the Supernova. And then I guess the regular stuff, the regular people, the regular passes. So the difference is that I can see between the Nova and the Dwarf packages was pretty negligible. So I got, let me grab this. So this is pretty cool. It's a KR backpack. I mean, it's nice. It's quite large, definitely large. You can fit like those KR boxes in there, and it also expands, so it opens up more, and it's got some nice pockets here and stuff. It has this nice, Nova 2018 on there, the Nova Open 2018. So I mean that was nice, and my buddy got like instead of a backpack, he got like a really nice canvas side bag, like saddle bag looking thing that I actually kind of liked a little bit more, because I don't use backpacks as much as far as transporting my army and stuff like that. I mean, I could use it as a regular backpack, but then it's kind of like why. But then you also got a BOGO coupon that the Dwarfs didn't, which is a buy one get one, equal greater value, or not equal or lesser value at the KR booth, which is nice. So I got a bunch of trays coming, so I can finally kind of pack my Tau army nicely, and I'll have plenty of trays then for infantry and stuff for them. So that was kind of about the biggest difference, that, and then I got this bright orange Convict, neon orange Nova shirt that says Supernova on the back, and then the Dwarf Nova it was an OD green. It says the same thing on the front, and then on the back it just says Dwarf Nova. So that was kind of like, I personally, OD green is my favorite color, so I was a little jealous about that for sure. But yeah, so that was kind of like the big differences. I maybe got a few other things that I guess so, like, and I've got the stuff set up here, and we'll kind of go over it more, but there was like the 30th anniversary Space Marine I got, and then I also got that Forge World exclusive Terminator Sorcerer. And my buddy, he did not get that, but he got 2 of the 30th anniversary Space Marines. So I was like, oh. I ended up, I don't have the Terminator, the event special Terminator Sorcerer on here anymore, because I don't need it. It's an alright model in my opinion. So I ended up selling it for a little bit less than what it would cost for someone to go buy it there at the event, because there's somebody else that my buddy was going to actually get that for while he was there, and then I happened to have it. I was like, well, you can buy it off of me for less than what you can at the event. So I guess 2 of us kind of made out better than expected in a way. So, all right, well, that was kind of the main thing there. I'll go over the swag here in just a second, and then a few other things I picked up. But I guess we'll go into the differences from Adepticon and Nova, and most of that is one. It's been a few years since I've been to Adepticon, so things may have changed, but the venue, that's one huge difference. So they're both in hotels, convention center type of spaces and stuff, but the Renaissance in Chicago, or it's actually right outside of Chicago. But I mean, so you have like the hotel, and then off to the side you just have this just massive convention space, and then when you get to the main convention hall where like most of the 40K and at that time X-Wing and all that was going on, and then you had even space there for your vendors off to the side, and it was just huge, and you can see everything and everyone. And it was just giant. It was awesome. Also, you had like these ceilings that, I don't know, 20 feet or higher, at least 20 feet. So I think that, if anything, kind of helped with all those people in there from the heat and the body heat and all that rising. And you have the lights on, and it just gets really hot and crowded and stuff. And don't get me wrong, it was still pretty crowded for what it was, but they still had a ton of space. So it was a bit easier, I think, maybe there to maneuver around. And then they had other convention halls and other kind of smaller, I guess, ballrooms and stuff. They were set up for some of the smaller games that don't have as huge of a following, but they had the space. And then they had another space where people could rent tables and then bring their models and bits and things they're just trying to get rid of and trade. It was like a big bits model trading area, which was pretty cool. Nova is a lot different because you're kind of smack into the center of the city where you are at the Hyatt. And you come in, and there's you have the lobby, then the exhibition level below, and then the ballroom level. And then above the lobby, there was escalators that went to the second floor. Yeah, so it went up to the second floor, and they had escalators that would go down to the exhibition and ballroom. And then they had still a third floor, which is they had the fitness center and then access to the pool up there. They still had some more kind of, I guess, convention, conference room, ball center, or ballroom type things up there as well. So again, kind of the lesser known, smaller companies and games kind of got pushed up to there. And then I think the Hobby Haven was in that corner up there. Or no, maybe I think it was on the second. Now that I think about it, it might have been on the second level. So they had like an area where you could paint and build and fix things or whatever that a lot of people utilize. So they had that, and then so it's stacked. It was crazy. You go down the first escalator to the exhibition level, and the escalator dumps you off like right at the check-in center, and then they had the Capital Palette displays, and then you wrap around. Then they had a silent auction area, and then you go through the doors, and then you get to like kind of the main 40K. Like when you first walk in these one doors, they had to the left like a photo booth thing where you could take a Space Marine weapon. The Warhammer community was there, and you can take a picture of the Space Marine weapon. Then they had their Warhammer TV live stream set up there for their games that they were live streaming. And then there was like Necromunda tables, and then behind that they had the Kill Team, and then over in this other corner they had the narrative stuff going on, and then pushed in the other corner was Horus Heresy narrative stuff. And then like just past the Kill Team, the whole rest of the thing was dedicated to the GT, the Grand Tournament there. So that was kind of that setup, and then I can't even go into, so I think on the ballroom level they had a giant room for Age of Sigmar. So it was a kind of a shared room of Age of Sigmar. What's the word I'm looking for? The Lord of the Rings game, or I guess it's Middle Earth now, the new iteration, Middle Earth. And then you had Star Wars Legion and X-Wing in there, and then just smattered around you had like Malifaux, War Machine. Infinity was like up, I think, on one of the top floors. So stuff everywhere. And so then on the bottom ballroom level, kind of in the center. So they had like kind of an open atrium with the escalators kind of come, so you could look up and see all the way up to the the third floor. But you couldn't get to the third floor from escalator. You had to jump on the elevator or take the stairs to get to the third. But anyway, so they had all the vendors kind of down there in the center. There was a decent amount of vendors. You had you had White Metal Games Painting, which is a group kind of the Raleigh area. Very familiar with them, played them, seen their work. They're definitely a great commission painting studio. They sell like just other GW products as well. And then you had, I don't know, there was like some MDF board movement trays and paint tray makers. There was, I think a stiff neck painting, which I'm not really sure. I think they are a commission studio as well, and they sell like hobby devices. Atlantis Games has a store. They're a store out of Portsmouth, Virginia, and they have a store in Norfolk, Virginia. They were there and had a big booth, which was the biggest one, and they had all kinds of stuff set up in there, like any kind of game system, really. They had something for. The Games Workshop Forge World booth section was kind of set up in a side hallway area. And then the cool thing there is they had, kind of cool, they didn't have a ton of t-shirt options, which is one of the big things I was hoping to get a bunch of stuff like, because you can't get like their t-shirts that they have over at Warhammer World. And so usually they bring them to these events. Well, they had a very small selection, and they were selling them all out. They didn't. I think they're getting ready for some more new shirts, so they were selling them all for $5. So I picked up a couple. Unfortunately, there was one shirt that I really wanted, but they didn't have it in my size. But I picked one up anyway because it's $5. So not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. Maybe I can find somebody that has it my size and they need a medium and I need a large, and we can trade. But anyway. So they had that, and then what else was there? There was Armor Class 10 t-shirts. You can check them out at armorclass10.com. They have like a lot of custom-made t-shirts, and I picked up a Brand's Great Company charitable t-shirt that he was doing. If you're part of that Great Company, the Brand's Great Company webpage, you'll have seen the design and be familiar with it before. I didn't ask because it was pretty busy. If he was the guy that I initially seen post that shirt up or not. I'm not 100% sure. I'm overall pretty happy with the shirt, and I say pretty because it was a vinyl. So you get there, you select like, oh, I want this design or that, and then you pick what shirt you want, and then they have like a catalog that they flip through, pull it out, and they make it right there. So it's a big like heat press thing, and put it on. And the only reason why I'm not a big fan of those because like as opposed to like screen printing, it's a lot stiffer, and then over time wear and tear, it doesn't last. It doesn't have the lasting value, unfortunately. Now I'm not sure if they do screen printing as well, and they were just doing this because they're at the convention and it's just quick and whatever. Because the other thing was they had the example of Brand's Great Company shirt was a Gildan, and I can't remember what it was. It wasn't the performance one, but it was I really liked the fabric of it, but he didn't have that version of the t-shirt. It was like their Elite or high-end, I don't remember what it was called, Gildan Elite or Gildan something, and they didn't have that shirt there with them. Anyway, so I got the Gildan Dry Blend, which is still a good shirt, but like I said, unfortunately, I feel like it's going to be a shirt I can barely wear just from a washing and cleaning perspective because I don't want it to wear out and then not have this nice shirt, which is kind of a weird thing to have a shirt that I can't ever wear in honor of Brand. But anyways, I got it. I know it was a charitable shirt, so a good cause and all that. So yeah, and then there was I'm trying to think, Table War or whatever, they had their mats there. Just all kinds of like accessory stuff. But the other one I wanted to get to, I think it was called Dad's Gaming, and I left my Supernova badge in the other vehicle, and my wife has taken off with it. So, because I took one of their business cards and put it in there, and they are so it's called Dad's Gaming, and so I guess it's a family, you would say, because it's a man, his wife, and their son. Son is much younger, but yeah, they're a older couple, I guess. Anyway, they're out of Wake Forest, North Carolina, so kind of my neck of the woods, and they do 3D scans of people's heads, and then can 3D print you either a figure of. They had all kinds of designs, and then you can pick like your weapon options or whatever. So if you're doing like a D&D thing, or you just want a big model of yourself to paint, they can come together with something. Or while they can't obviously print like Space Marines because they're the Games Workshop copyright and all that, they will print you heads that you can put onto your Space Marines and stuff. So I went ahead and did a scan and ordered some heads. Got a few. So don't know how yet. I'm gonna put myself in a character. I told my buddy that it'd be a pretty cool way to try to make him like a regular person, and then start ranking him up, like, oh, now he's a sergeant, and then he becomes this, and then, oh, now he's the chapter master or something as he makes more and more great feats. But then I was like, but I'll do something like that. In the first game, he'll just get smashed down by like a demon prince, or I don't know, just get destroyed first turn. But so I'm not 100% sure yet what I want to do. But it was pretty cool. The likeness is it's definitely there. I think the smaller you go, like with anything, it's going to make it harder. So it'll be interesting to see at the scale how similar it looks to myself. And then really you got to make up the rest with your painting skills, really. I think that's a large portion of making it work or whatever. So definitely interested to see how that's going to turn out. Now that's so you do the scan. It was only like I think $20 or something to get the initial scan, and one head I think was included in that. And then I think it was like $5 for each additional head or something. So not nothing or not anything crazy. And then they have it was like they had other stuff for sale too, but something about a 6 to 8 week turnaround. They said it would be in the mail. So yeah, so those will be coming 6 to 8 weeks from now. So then next up, I guess I'll talk about the capital palette. So I entered in 2 models. I did the journeyman level. There's apprentice, journeyman, and master class. Now, I did the journeyman level. Just I have no doubts that I am not at the master class level because you see stuff on Facebook. I do think. I mean, with as much humility as I can, and I'm not bragging by any means, but I am a decent painter, I think. I mean, obviously, if you're on my Facebook page, you've seen my work. And, like, I wasn't always, like, of course, I have my albums on there from my first minis that I've done, and, it's a progressing thing. You get better and better, and maybe one day, and hopefully as I keep pushing the boundaries and learning new skills and techniques, I can get on that master class level. But so I went mid-tier because I was like, well, apprentice, and regardless, the judges will look at what category or level you put yourself at, and if they feel like you're trying to bird dog it or whatever else, they'll move it up to whatever level they think that you are at. So anyway, I submitted 2 in journeyman. Now this is something I didn't know initially, but they explained later during the award ceremony was that if you had more than one submission in the same category, so not journeyman necessarily, but single figure, bust, vehicle, stuff like that, they would get them all together that you've entered, and they would collectively, the judges would select what they feel is your strongest work or your best one in that category, and then go off of that for their final judging and figuring out, if you've placed or what exactly you've done. So, So that was an interesting, and I like that because it would prevent somebody from sweeping all the first places, or because they did give out like more than one first place for like the individuals in the different classes and stuff. I believe. Don't quote me on that. Now that I say that, I'm like, well, maybe they didn't. But yeah, so the individual models was definitely the biggest category of entered models. Like, bar none, anything else that had the most entered into it. So yeah, then I will say there was kind of so he was in the master class thing, and if anyone's familiar with Adam from Tabletop Minions, he has this friend of his, it's Sam Levy, something like that. That paints miniatures, amazing work. And he came along because Adam was there to do some seminars, and it was Adam's first time at Nova, and Sam came with him and entered and stuff, and pretty much sweeped most of the masterclass categories in diorama. He also won best in show, and just like I said, just pretty much swept most of the categories that he entered. So that was kind of interesting. But back to mine. So I entered my Chapter Master Star Commanders, which I'd always planned on entering. That was when I bought the entry. I was like, oh, I'll enter that because it's a cool model. I like, my conversion that I did to it, the paint job. It's my custom chapter, get it out there. People will see it, whatever. And then last minute, my Minotaur Death Watch Primaris watch captain that I had converted and then painted. I decided, it's a really cool miniature. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. For it was like $5 for an additional entry. Like, I'll just get another entry and submit it, and we'll see how that does. Whatever. So I didn't really know that they were going to select the best of the two, which is fine, whatever. But so I did that, submitted them, and then I was eyeballing the thing. I don't know who won fan favorite yet because they hadn't quite tallied up the votes at the time. Overall fan favorite for the show, definitely probably not one of mine. There was so much amazing work there. And my fan favorite that I voted for was there was a My Little Pony display where they were fighting a dragon. Now, it sounds interesting, but they were realistic horses that they had put wings on, unicorn horns, painted, put the cutie marks on, and they're fighting like a real. It wasn't like you think My Little Pony. I mean, this was like realistic My Little Pony. They even had made a cowboy hat for the Applejack one that was. It was a pretty cool. I'll have pictures up soon. By the time this video gets up, for sure, I'll have the album of the Capital Palette stuff. And I don't even think I captured it all because there was a lot of stuff in and out all the time in that display case. Like, people dropping things off, picking their stuff up. I'm not really sure why some people would put it in and take it out right away. And then there's other times judges were pulling stuff so they could do their judging and stuff. But, so initially, though, I was a little kind of, upset in a way or whatever because my models were kind of set in the back for a minute, and they're smaller models, and they were set next to other more, much bigger models that would kind of draw the eye to them, and they would get lost in the background, and then later on, I come back, and they're like, oh, they're up at the front now, and then, so things moved around a lot, and then right before we left, I started noticing something. I wasn't really sure what that meant, but there's 3 shelves in there, and I'm still not sure if this is what this means, but there's a ton of models, individual models on the bottom shelf, to include my Star Commanders Chapter Master. Then at the next level, there wasn't near as many, but there was some models there, and I had my Death Watch was up there. And then the top level, there's even less, so there's a few more at the top. So my thought process on this, because then when they were set up like this, the awards ceremony was going on, so I made my way up to the roof, because that was another thing I left out. There was a charitable roof bar that they would play They had live music pretty much every night from just like local attendees and the actual I guess founder. And what he says is he doesn't run it. This is his fault. So he has a band and so they play. And anyway, so there was ceremonies up there. Also, awesome views of the airport, like the Reagan Airport. And you can see across the Potomac. You can see like the Capitol building. And it was a pretty cool sight. Anyway, so go up there, and it sounds like, or the way what I can gather is those bottom models were models that were entered and just didn't make it. Then where my Death Watch was at were finalists. And then the top shelf were all people that placed like medals, so bronze, silver, gold. So as I got to my Death Watch was a finalist. He didn't quite make the podium, but he was a finalist, which I'm perfectly fine with. They for what it is, like he definitely wasn't like none of these things were made necessarily for like a strong, just straight painting competition, because I paint to my tabletop, what I consider tabletop standard or tabletop quality, and these are going to be played on the table. They're not display pieces or whatever. So for what I consider tabletop quality, to hit the finalist round and be a finalist is pretty awesome, I think. Pretty happy with that. But that also gave me a good gauge now as to my tabletop standard got me basically, it's like getting nominated for the Oscars and not winning an Oscar. So I got to the nomination round. Now I just need to go above. So definitely have some few ideas as far as like legit picking a model and committing that to, while it may or may not like see table time, I'm gonna go for an actual like display piece. Like I'm painting this purely for a painting competition that is coming a year from now. But with that, I still don't know yet about if Nova next year will happen or happen or not or yet. Wow, I can't talk all of a sudden. Will happen or not. But we'll see. So that was the Capitol Palette. Then next we can talk about the events that I played in. So I played in the Kill Team Competitive Pod, the first one. Lost every game. Did not have a whole lot of fun. Losing's never fun, but I will say my last game I played, I can't remember his name. He was a great guy. Had an awesome. There's pictures on that album. Really awesome converted Tempestus Scion army. That he had converted from the Necromunda Orlok gang, and then swapped in parts and all the weapons, and they had a really cool like plasma Adeptus Mechanicus plasma cavalier that was like being like I don't know, slung. I don't know. It was cool. It was a really awesome army. Like I said, I've got the pictures up. I tried to take some pictures of his army. It was a very awesome army. So that was cool. My second round. So my first one was kind of whatever. What did I play against? Space Marines, and so I had Death Watch. Now the unfortunate thing about Death Watch is the low model count. Plus I was running Primaris. There's not too much difference because Death Watch are about the same in points as a Primaris, but you're getting that extra wound at least with Primaris. But there was. So my biggest issue with them is you can't bring a lot of high strength things. So you're wounding on 4s. Like it just depends on what you're going against. But like that strength 4 I found wasn't as useful. Like the AP is nice to have to try to with cover and whatever else. But I was having a strength issue with the strength 4 still. It's just maybe bad dice. I don't know. So that was kind of an issue. and then my low model count because everything was expensive. And I did have a frag, the Deathwatch frag grenade. It has great profiles, but they didn't, like I said, they just couldn't connect or he would get taken out right away, along with the Infernus Heavy Bolter. So it almost seems better to maybe drop and take 2 Infernus Heavy Bolters. And then even, I don't know, I got to figure out something with the Deathwatch. They just were kind of way underperforming, and they would, pretty much every game, my 2 gunners would get taken out pretty much immediately, and that was it. I mean, I couldn't do much to hit back, and everybody else always outnumbered me. The Space Marine player, the Tyranid player, and definitely the Tempestus player. I was doing some work on the Tempestus. I was hoping to get him to break, but I think I needed one more model kill to get him to halfway. And then he was able to get some stuff in there because he had melted guns and like plasma and flamers, and it was a good, well-rounded list as far as he had all kinds of special weapons. So, and then unfortunately I only brought like my minimum kill team because there just wasn't time to get like much more done for them. So I didn't really have a whole lot of like swapping out, because you could swap out lists and stuff, but I just didn't have a lot of stuff to swap out. So then we had the narrative event that I participated. I did Day Fighter the first day, the second day, and then I ended up doing the last Night Fighter, which was a 1500 doubles, which I just had to wait list and got on, because that was one thing I noticed, especially with the narratives. I'm not sure about Grand Tournament stuff, but for the narrative events, there was always people dropping out or not showing up for whatever reason that they needed more people. So I got there. You get there's like a warlord there's 2 sides to this narrative that's been happening since 2012. So there was a virtue side, which is like, I guess, kind of these alien guys that came in and started taking over humanity and stuff. And there was like humanity, which is like these free people. So like the judge there kind of just randomly for everyone that's registered. So you have your warlords, so warlords for each side, and then there's like team captains for each side. And then the judge goes up. He has everybody that's registered stand over here, and he's like, okay, you're fighting for virtue, go over there. You, humanity, go over there. And then you go over there, and then your warlord for your team then says, hey, you're going to this team captain. And I think it was like six people per team, and I'm not sure how many teams aside. But then you would get then the warlords would decide, all right, team captain you, and then the other team, or the other warlord would be like, team captain you guys are going to fight your teams. So then the team captains would meet up, and then they would have a roster, and they would kind of look at the other team's roster, and then they would say like, okay, so my Grey Knights player is going to fight your Thousand Suns player on this one. And I think it was started off with whoever had initiative, which I'm not sure how they determined that, but somehow it was determined. And then the side that had initiative got to pick the first pairing. But then after they picked the pairing, then the other team that didn't, I believe, they got to select the mission they were going to play. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. So my first game at 1,000 points, I won. I tabled the guy who was an Ultramarine player. Not much more to say with that. I got full points that I could, and he got 0 across the board. Then my next one, I'm trying to remember which one that was. So I played that. And then I know I won. So I won. Oh, the next one was the doubles, right? It was 1,000-point doubles. So then I played that with the team captain, who had knights, and we won that one. That one was, I'm trying to remember. There was so much going on. I'm trying to remember who we played there. But we won that matchup, and I can't think now. Because I played as the team captain again, and that one, we'll get to that game here in a second. So So yeah, that's that one. I won. Then the next day, had one more just 1,000-point singles, which I barely squeaked out a tie. And this was against Ultramarine player. The mission just was going south as far as the way, like, it was a crash shuttle pilot mission, and everything kind of landed set up for him to get to the pilot and the shuttle, so he got those points, but then I was able to, with secondaries, to kind of even it out. So just had that shuttle not landed where it would have been, I think, a little bit more interesting of a match as far as like us fighting over or whatever. But he was where it crashed. He had one unit on that side of the table that was just slowly making its way there, and I didn't have time to get to it because I had to deal with all the stuff that we had in the other corners. So. So he was able to get those points, but like I said, I managed to even it out in the secondaries to the point where we tied across the board, where our final primary scores were tied. And then you could get fame or infamy, which I'm not sure what they did with those points, but you got fame points for protecting these little civilians that were around, and then you would get infamy if you killed them. And there were certain things you could do, like shooting them got you 1 point, killing them in close combat got you 3 points of infamy, and then you would get 4 points for saving them. So if you got within 2 inches, you could attach them to your unit. You could also allocate wounds to them, but if you did so, then you got infamy points. But anyway, so you get 4 points for a civilian, and then you would get 6 points, so you get an additional 2 if you got that civilian back to your deployment zone. And those are just fame points. They weren't like really campaign points. Like I said, I'm not sure of the mechanic and how that worked overall. So then my first 1,500 points singles match, I lost, got tabled at the bottom of turn 4 because I had first turn. Went up against Eldar, and it could have went better. I brought my Astreus. I didn't have a lot of models on the table. Like, I had the Repulsor, I think it was, Repulsor, Captain, just a 5-man Intercessor squad, and 6 Hellblasters. I think it was 6 or 7, I can't remember, and the Astreus. And so she was playing Ynnari and Eldar, and whichever the Eldar are with the -1 to hit outside of 12, which I didn't realize went to vehicles as well for Eldar, because Space Marines, we don't have that, unfortunately. So I was able to drop Hellblasters in from Strike from the Shadows, kind of in their backfield, and I peeled a lot of wounds off of one of the, she had, what were they, the Fire Prisms, 3 of them, so she could do that linked fire thing. Well, I took a lot of wounds off of one, and then the one that she had out in the open, because the idea being that be the shooter while the other 2 are hiding, but they had line of sight to the shooter and whatever. So anyway, my hope was I was going to destroy one in the back and then be able to destroy that other one to take away, because you need at least 2 to do that special firing thing. Well, I had a huge, massive whiff fest with the Astreus to where I only managed to get 3 wounds through, and 3 wounding rolls that she makes saves, and then I think she made all but 1 or something. And then it was over. Like, after that, like, by turn 2, my Astreus was gone. I had taken out the Fire Prisms, and so it wasn't the Fire Prisms that did it. It was 40 Guardians and a whole lot of Smite, because she had 4 Psychers that smited the living whatever out of it, and then she had Soul Burst going off, so then all these Guardians were shooting, and granted they needed 6s, but then 6s were like some kind of AP, I don't know, yeah, and so they were shooting, and then came the shooting phase, and everything was shooting again, and it quickly took it down, unfortunately, because then I, just getting it degraded, and there was something, like, because the Smite thing, like, I have Void Shields that you can use against mortal wounds, but once it starts degrading, it goes from 5 up to 6 up to nothing. So that was a rough game. And before, she kept saying how she's going to lose, and she doesn't know. But, like, she had just played the day before against an Astraeus and blown it up. So, I mean, she was familiar with it, and she had already taken one down, so I wasn't really sure, like, why she was kind of downplaying how it was going to go. Maybe trying to put me in a false sense of confidence. But I was, at the same time, I was just like, maybe. This is my first game with the thing, and I know it's going to get targeted. Plus, she had that 3 Fire Prism thing that can do Twin Link, so I, like, had no idea. If she gets first turn, I know this thing's going to take a hit. So, anyway. And then the most amazing game was the night fight. So we didn't sign up for the doubles night fight, but there was a wait list, and our team was there and needed people or whatever, so we played. I got teamed up with the team captain again, and we went up against Dark Eldar, which was really cool. Converted army with Skaven instead of the Dark Eldar ride and everything. And then Necron player. And they were probably both like the coolest as far as just their demeanor and everything. It was the funnest game for sure. And then just the shenanigans that happened in the game were amazing. There was the mission, everything was, we were just tit for tat. It came down to, I think we took the I was gonna say Skaven, the Dark Eldar player at the bottom of, well, they had first turn. I think turn 4, at the bottom of turn 4, we had him knocked out of the game. I think he maybe had his Warlord left with 1 wound, which had 1 wound because that his ship things explode on 5, so he took quite a few mortal wounds and was down to 1. Then it was, and then they really focused on my team captain. He had Imperial Knights. They really focused hard on him and took him down, pretty much ignoring me for a good portion of the game. And I was able to do damage with the Repulsor and the Astraeus. And then, yeah, just kind of then the Necrons came on the board. Turn 2, he only had 1 thing out on the board, which I'm still not sure because I know you have to have half your power level on the table. And I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's half out there," but he only had. And I'd have to check. It was a narrative thing anyway, so I was like, well, whatever. I don't care that much. But there was 6 Wraith on the board and a 10-man squad of Immortals, and that was it to start with, I believe. I'm trying to think of what else he had, if anything. I think that was it. And then in his reserve, he had a 20-man Fire Warriors with a Cryptek, his Warlord with Immortals, and 6 Destroyers. So, yeah, I'm not sure what that comes out to in power level, but it seems like a decent amount for what it is. Yeah, so then they basically took out, I don't remember what turn they took out my teammate, but then it was just like down to myself and the Necron player, to the point where I needed to try to deny them getting 6 points on their secondary, which was to get as many units into our deployment zone as possible, which they would gain 2 points per unit. So I was able to skirt my Repulsor up and take out some Immortals that were hiding in cover, and then I did some damage on some Destroyers that then dropped down on the line of sight, and then the things started happening. We needed, so I think that all happened turn 6. So we rolled. So I rolled, and I was able to get a turn 6 turn. Well, killed the Immortals, did some wounds, and they dropped down or whatever. So the bottom of 6, we had Destroyers that were hiding, and he had some Wraith as well in the back. But I was like, with their 3, I think a 3-up invul or something, I wasn't even gonna try to mess with them. So we had Destroyers in the back, out of line of sight ish, needing a 7 turn, because if we don't kill the Destroyers, we lose by 1. If we destroy them, we win by 1. So, the Necron player, he rolls, and I think he rolled a 4 or 5, I don't know, but he rolled, it continues. So we go to our 7th and final turn. I'm able to move the repulsor up to get good line of sight, and then I'm able to move the Astraeus and got some line of sight. I decided to roll the repulsor first. I think I did a grand total out of the things. I only had the last cannon and the heavy stubber that could reach it, and did a grand total of 2 wounds. Then the Astraeus goes to shoot, and last cannons, heavy stubbers, like, I think I whiffed on the last cannons, and then at this point, neither one of us have command points. Nobody has command point rerolls or anything left. And then heavy stubbers did like nothing, so I shoot the main gun, the last thing to shoot. Shoots, does its hits, whatever, comes out to 4 wounds. And with the Astraeus, it is -2, and they're damage 3. Now I know warriors are 3 wounds. There's 1 warrior with 1 wound left, and the 2 at full wounds. He needs to make 2 5-up saves, and we lose by 1 point. And he rolls the 4 wounds, his 4 saves, and fails them all. He had, like, I think at least 2 4s, so like just barely missed it. Like, even if he would have made 1, it still wouldn't have been enough, because the other 3 would have went through, and the solid 3 damage on that main weapon is what saved the game, killing them outright and winning us by 1 point, which was just amazing. Now, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, with that as well, I gained a ton of fame, and we had a little bit of infamy or whatever, but it was the fame we gained, because I was also just going around and I was like picking up guys and stuff as I went along, to the end where we had 3 infamy because we had some things blow up that killed the civilians from mortal wounds. But then, of all the civilians I had picked up, and I had a few in the deployment zone, I had 34 fame at the end of it, which was pretty good. Like I said, I don't know what it came out to, but it was pretty nice. So yeah, that was the funnest game for sure. It was amazing. I loved it. So, yeah. Now, with that, I wanted to talk about this with the waitlist thing. So, something I noticed was kind of a pet peeve of mine was the waitlist. It didn't seem that you needed to go and register and pay to get on the waitlist, and that you could just pay for your day pass, whatever, and then showed up to where the narrative stuff was like, hey, I'm here to play. I'll wait. Let's see if there's any spots available, and then more times than not, there was available to play. So they would get to play and not to pay. And I was just thinking, I felt kind of like, I'm not sure how it works, like I said, on the competitive side of the house with the grand tournament. I'm pretty sure they had a wait list, but I would hope that those people had to still pay. Now, those people that waitlisted into the grand tournament probably didn't make it very far, because I mean, if you're super competitive, you probably paid ahead and already pre-registered. But that kind of was a little bit upsetting that I had to pay to play in the narrative events, and then that basically that I had to pay when essentially I didn't have to. I could have just showed up, and I guess you could say there's no guarantee, but like with the amount of people that were not around that we needed extra people for, there was, I don't see how there would ever not be a way that you couldn't get in on the wait list. So yeah, I don't know. So going forward, I'm not sure what events and stuff we'll do. Talking with my buddy, we were thinking about trying to get like a trio team together, because they had a trio tournament, which would be kind of fun. So I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I would definitely say for the narrative events, like I don't see an issue or a purpose to pre-registering. There was no check, nobody. It was very odd. Like I wasn't too happy with that. Like the kill team competitive thing that I signed up for. You checked in, you turn a list in. They used the Best Coast Pairings app. You signed in and got to your thing, so you can enter results and things. So And that was cool, and I don't know if the Grand Tournament did like a similar thing. But yeah, so I was a little bit disappointed there with that aspect of it. So I'm not sure if they would change that somehow next year, or if there was something else happening I wasn't seeing. But from what I could tell, there was people just swinging in, saying they were waitlisted, or they want to waitlist and see if there's any openings. And they, like I said, more times than not, they got in just fine. So, but yeah, so I think that's just about covers everything. Trying to think of ways that they could, like, what any major issues or things. I mean, the elevator wait was not horrible. I mean, people started to learn that as soon as an elevator door opens, you just have to get on. It doesn't matter if you're going up or down, you get on an elevator when it opens, because otherwise you're going to be waiting forever to get on an elevator. There seemed to be a lot of people that were kind of upset about that or had issues, but like, I was like, well, I don't know. I never felt like I mean, I had to wait, but I never felt like I had a super long wait. Like, if I was to wait for an elevator that was going my exact direction at a time, then sure, I probably would have had a lot longer wait. But knowing just jump on an elevator when it opens, you just got to. And then aside from that, then we had, like I said, the food thing was kind of something to work. They definitely I feel like did their best to mitigate that with having the food trucks, so there's cheaper options. There wasn't a lot of healthier options, because most of it was like, pizza and deep fried. And there's this one place, DC Slices, that had funnel cake fries, which was an interesting coincidence in general, because my buddy and I, as we were driving up, were talking about. I think he was talking about waffle fries or something, and then it was waffle cones. It was, these conversations you have driving up. So it was like talking about waffle cones, then waffle fries, and then I was thinking of like funnel cake, and then funnel cake fries or something, and then we started like, which I had never heard of. I've never seen funnel cake fries, which it's not that hard to make them, but anyway, and then we started talking about like, would funnel cake fry be a potato or dough? I was like, well, I guess if it's funnel cake, it'd be a cake. Well, anyway, then we get there, and this DC Slices food truck has funnel cake fries, which was made from funnel cake batter that they just put in this, make fry-shaped funnel cake sticks, basically, and put the powdered sugar over it, which then we were talking to them about, like, this weird coincidence, and they're like, yeah, I don't know why we call them fries, since there's no potato. Maybe we should call them, like, funnel cake sticks or something. So, I don't know, they might change the name, DC Slices, if you see this food truck, if you go in the future, or if you're in that area and you know what DC Slices is, and their menu says funnel cake sticks instead of funnel cake fries, you can thank me and my buddy for that. That was definitely our doing, our claim to fame on that. But anyway. So, I think next up I will show you my cart of swag and stuff that I bought while I was there, so you can get kind of an idea of what that looks like. So, I'll be right back. Alright, here we are. The cart of swag. Alright. So on the bottom are kind of the things I just picked up. I didn't pick up a lot of stuff. Like I said, I also have the foam trays from KR coming, and then the custom 3D heads that were scanned that will be coming. So that Horus Heresy box is definitely Alpharius. I picked up some Death Watch dice. I was going to play, so I ended up not playing in one of the Kill Team events because my Kill Team was just couldn't do anything. So I had picked up those dice because, like the whole if your dice match, they roll better thing. Well, I ended up not even using them yet. So here's the T-shirts that I had gotten. So there's like an Inquisition one. Like the 8th edition little coat of arms thing. Ultramarine one, and this is a Red Scorpion one. Now the Red Scorpion one is the one that I really wish I had gotten in my size, but they didn't have it. But I picked up a medium anyway. I got the event exclusive Praetor and Cataphractii armor. I like the model, and I think it'll look good if I throw it with my salamanders or something. And then I had posted a picture of this before. This is the special edition Blood of Ajax by Robbie McNiven, signed by him as well, which is awesome. Too bad he wasn't actually there to meet him. I would have probably been upset, though, because I would not have had my Kokarda novels with me to have him sign if I didn't know he was going to be there. But I'm sure if somebody someone like that was there, they would have probably announced it. So yeah, so not a crazy haul, but a decent amount for sure. But like the amount of money that I was spending on hotel. Oh, that's the one thing I also didn't mention that. So it's pretty much mandatory valet parking, which was $20 a day, was it? Yeah, so it ended up being like $80 at the end of it, which was wow. So I mean, it's like I said, it's expensive for sure of a trip. So especially if you're staying there every day. I keep thinking of other things. After this, I'm definitely going to talk about the Warhammer community preview event that happened the first night, which I had some issues with. But anyway, so that's the stuff that I picked up. This is most of the, well, not most of, this is the swag. The only thing missing is the various coupons and things from vendors and stuff that they give you. So you can see you get quite a decent amount of stuff, like a dice bag, like they give you this cool like thing with the 1, 2, 3 with your name on it. There's you get like a brush. I really am excited about these things, these flower tufts. They're orange. So kind of like cool exotic alien flower type things. There's the 30th anniversary Marine. Some 3D printed terrain. There's like a thing that you can put on the base of your warlord to, I guess, mark that he's the warlord. And then like a base from Secret Weapon, just an example of their work, and this one has a pumpkin on it. Then you have just other miniatures from other games. Chromlech. This is a Kickstarter here called Breach Storm. There's an Infinity character there. And then you have the Warhammer Champions that's out. People got various decks of those. Like I got order, my buddy got order. There's other people that got, I don't know, Destruction or Chaos or something. I'm really not interested in that game, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. This was a Heroes Click, Hobbit Heroes Click thing. I'm not 100% sure what's up with that, because I actually got handed that by the judge when I was doing the Kill Team, the Kill Team competitive thing. And I coming in dead last, losing every round. I don't think it was a consolation prize because I got it like when I was beginning my second round. So I'm not really sure how that worked out, but he handed me like a little brown paper bag that said my name and said 40K Kill Team competitive, and yeah. So and then moving up here, so you have like this canvas bag here with the Nova open. Then this like box tote thing, notebook with the pen, hand sanitizer. This is a like card holder and multi-tool thing in there. Then you have mints and toothpicks, a cell phone holder, a fidget spinner, a koozie with a bottle cap opener, a sticker, beer glass, and a shot glass. So yeah, that was all the stuff that pretty much they could put the logo on it. They put their logo on it, which was pretty funny. And then of course these are the two that I entered for the painting competition. So there he is, did not finalist, and my last minute entry, they got me an invite to the party, but not in the door. So, but still pretty awesome, I think. I'm very, very happy either way. Very cool. And then I have this t-shirt that I got as well. Looks the same as my orange one that I have on. It just says that, and then on the back it just says Nova Open. And flipping this around, here is the brand great company that I picked up. So that's the front. And if I can flip this around real quick, excuse the shakiness real quick. There we go. And here's the back. So very cool. Alright, so that is the swag and the stuff that I got, and let me set this back up and let's talk real quick about this Warhammer community preview thing and how that went down. Okay, here we are back. So let's talk about this Warhammer preview event thing they did. It was the very first kind of night that you could get there, check in, things were getting set up, everything was whatever, and then they had this preview event. It was 250 people could attend. I think they let some more people in as they could. And my disappointment with it. My disappointment because, well, one, you're going to be disappointed unless there's something in there that you're like, yes. But of everything, and I mean, you could blame this on the community, or I don't know what you could blame this on, but most of everything in there, like, the other thing is there's a huge hype. Like, there's going to be a huge reveal, a big reveal. Like, there's going to be something crazy. Well, I couldn't tell you what that big, crazy reveal was. Of everything that they announced and talked about, I can't think of anything I was overly and super excited about. Like, I don't know of anything that I was excited about, really. I mean, there's things that were, yeah, okay, that'd be cool to see, it would be whatever, but nothing that I was like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. Like, lots of talk about Prime Orc that didn't happen. A lot of talks about seeing a new Primarch, not in the Games Workshop side. Well, maybe, I think some people are expecting to see maybe Lehman Russ. But then the Forge World side, people are thinking Sanguinius, or Sanguinius, however you say it. But yeah, so the issues there. So the other thing was there was no Forge World representative there to speak on anything Forge World, and people, like, when they got to the Q&A portion, like, everybody had all kinds of questions for Forge World. Not that they answered any questions about non-Forge World stuff anyway, but. Yeah, so the preview pretty much showed everything that we had already seen. The coolest thing that I can remember is they showed the Orc War Boss on a trike, which a lot of people had kind of seen in the background. Like, what is that? Is that a Prime Orc? I was like, well, no, it's probably just an orc on like a big orc on the back of something, and that's why it looks so huge. Well, that's pretty much exactly what it ended up being. It's a pretty cool model with a trike and all that. The other big thing, I guess, that everyone's excited about is, turn signals on Land Raider, an older webcomic, is coming back and actually going to be featured by the Warhammer community. So they're working in conjunction with that artist, and he was there, and everybody was really excited about seeing the Emperor's pointy sticks come back. So there was that. That was pretty cool. And then the Warhammer Quest is coming to 40K, so it's Blackstone Fortress or Blackstone, something like that. So a lot of people are excited about that. And then the models coming out of that will be 40K compatible with rules and everything. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so a lot of people were excited about that. That was another one that I think that might have been their big reveal thing. That a lot of people were excited about. Like, I'm kind of indifferent about. Like, I'm sure there'll be some cool models with it, but other than that, I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, in general, it was just kind of very underwhelming of a thing. There was nothing earth-shattering announced, and then the thing that was probably the most unfortunate was they didn't have any Forge World representation. I think that's because Forge World does their own events where they do that stuff, Forge World or Weekend or whatever they call it. But the issue with that is in America we don't have Warhammer World or the Forge World stuff, so I feel like they really need to send Forge World representation if they're going to do these preview events at other like Adepticon or whatever, which it seems like they plan on doing. So yeah, they really need to kind of, step up their game, I think, with the preview events, because I was all excited and then I was kind of let down, which, whatever, they don't need to cater to my experience, but like my buddy was saying, like he's like, you need to cater everything to my experience, and I want to see things I want to see, which is funny, but I I guess it was just more like there was nothing as earth-shattering as, yeah, I don't know. And then the other thing is when it came to the Q&A, like they answered nothing. There was like, and I get like they can't or they don't know, and the questions people were asking was kind of like those questions like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we already know the answer to this because one, they don't like a lot of they don't work, they don't do that stuff, and it's like so it's kind of like that plausible deniability thing. It's like they don't do that, so they can't really confirm. One thing that they did do, they showed a preview to the Realm of Chaos. This be a game that's coming out, which shows, I guess, this can be Korn versus Slanesh, but the video that they showed doesn't really leaves you wondering what that's about. But then they actually talked about that and confirmed there will be new Slanesh Korn models in a box set towards like fighting each other, and we'll have rules for both Age of Sigmar and 40K, which that was a pretty big, I think, confirmation of anything that we've heard, which was pretty cool. And then I'm trying to think if there's any other kind of like things they confirmed. Somebody asked something about terrain or something, and they did a whole lot of I don't know this or that, and did a lot of wink stuff. So it seems like there's more things coming on the side of terrain. I'm trying to think of the other. I guess there's just so much filter stuff, and then, like I said, any questions that was asked, they just didn't have or didn't want to give the answers. My buddy asked about the Fires of Syraxis book that was supposed to be coming out and when that's coming out and all that, because a lot of hope is that we're going to start seeing those chapter tactics for our Badab War chapters come back. So my Kakardons can have some rules. His Red Scorpions can have rules. All that. Minotaurs, all that stuff. And they said, who gave him the microphone? You're not allowed to ask questions anymore. It's kind of a funny haha joke thing, but that was it. They didn't give any more info on that. But it definitely seems like it's not a priority at all. They're busy worrying about other stuff. So, but it's also hard to say because none of them were from Forge World. So, yeah, I guess we'll call that it. This video is probably quite long. I definitely recapped a lot. I guess my overall impressions, it was a great event, great time. I would suggest it for sure. I'm definitely trying to go again next year. Definitely going to be changing things up as far as what I'm going to try to do event-wise. And, yeah, so definitely check it out if you can. And until next time.